For New Orleans resident Cynthia Falls, scars from Hurricane Katrina still haunt her every day.
And I'm just tired of looking at these weeds and these trees that have overgrown the house, covered the lots. Oh, it's just horrible.
But Falls didn't give up on her neighborhood.
I was born and raised here. I love New Orleans.
The eastern part of the city and the lower 9th Ward were some of the hardest hit areas after the levee system failed and floodwaters inundated New Orleans. Survivors waited days to be rescued on their rooftops. Falls evacuated ahead of the storm.
This house was just about paid for, so we decided to come back and put it back together.
10 years later, flood-ravaged homes still dot the landscape. Rubble where homes were pushed off their foundations. But there are also signs of progress. A new school, new community center, and cluster of houses built by Brad Pitt's Make It Right Foundation. Yet only about a third of the 19,000 people who used to live in the lower 9th Ward came back.
It's just like a graveyard when you look at it. Okay, that's the headstone of what happened in 2005.
But elsewhere, New Orleans has never looked better. The French Quarter was one of the quickest neighborhoods to rebound, having only sustained minimal flooding. Tourists are back. The city boasts more restaurants, and there have been a rash of reforms on almost every level. New Orleans has become the reform model for education in the nation, going from nearly 80 failing schools before Katrina to only about a dozen in the past 10 years. Commercially, there's a new billion-dollar medical center and growing technology sector.
And so it's that combination of the low cost plus the unique culture that is what's so attractive, particularly to technology companies and the millennials that they employ.
Louis Armstrong Airport, where thousands of evacuees were triaged, has been remodeled and expanded. And the Superdome, the so-called shelter of last resort that became the site of days-long suffering in the storm's aftermath, has been renovated inside and out. But for all the changes, there's no disguising that challenges remain, like homelessness and crime. The city's still trying to rebuild its police force.
The two things that every CEO or that person's spouse or their top leaders or their staff want to know is, where are my kids going to go to school, and am I going to be safe? And until we can answer both of those in a broad and positive way, they're going to remain economic development challenges for us.
For those in the slower to recover areas, the struggles are more personal.
Things are just beginning to come back 10 years, and we just seeing something.
Residents are trying to be patient as they wait for the renaissance of New Orleans to finally hit home. Stacey Plaisance, Associated Press, New Orleans.